Prime presents Perfect Pairings. What pairs with Reacher on Prime? Reaching for a sparkling punch delivered with Prime. It's an unbelievable feeling when you're enjoying a punch at the same time Reacher is enjoying punching people. Wow, he's still punching people. Entertainment meets fast delivery. It's on Prime.
You want to get your backyard summer ready, but you don't want to break the bank? Wayfair gets it. Planning on dining al fresco or relaxing poolside? Wayfair has everything you need to prep your space. Shop now and save up to 70% off during Wayfair's 4th of July clearance. Score huge deals on outdoor furniture, area rugs, and more. We're talking thousands of products for every style and budget. Plus, surprise flash deals July 6th. Don't wait. Shop Wayfair's 4th of July clearance now through July 6th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
To get the Crime Writers on After Show right now, go to patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, with their client weeks away from execution, a group of lawyers seeks new evidence to win him a stay and prove his innocence. We'll talk about the podcast from Serial Productions, The New York Times, and The Marshall Project, The Last 12 Weeks. Joining me to get that done and more is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and the love of my life. It's Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Also with us, private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of The Final Curtain, it's Laura Bricker. Hi, Laura.
Hey, Rebecca.
And finally, our captain of all things cynical, author of the City Trilogy, host of Strange Arrivals, and our Patreon Deep Dive Book Club podcast, it's Toby Ball. Hi, Toby.
Hey, Rebecca.
So, Kevin, this is Monday's show.
It is.
What's coming up on future editions of Crime Writers On?
Well, on Thursday, we're going to have our first classic rewind of the summer. We're going back to our review of The Mysterious Mr. Epstein.
Oh.
Am I saying that right? Epstein? I don't know.
I don't know. Who is it?
I've only seen it on paper.
Is that somebody whose name we're supposed to know?
It's yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on Monday, we'll be back with a brand new, fresh episode of Crime Writers On, and we'll be discussing the surprise hit TV show of the season, Widow's Bay.
Great. I just want to tell listeners who might be new to the show, and I know there are some of you because I look at the analytics every week. Maybe some of you came over from my YouTube show. That would be cool. Each summer, starting about now and ending around Labor Day-ish, we actually have one new show a week and one classic rewind, which is a fun or interesting review from the past. Very often it's something we super hated, so those are really fun. And then we come back to 2 shows a week in September. Right, Kevin?
That's exactly how it works.
And why do we do this, Kevin?
Because it's summer.
That's right.
But we don't want to go away completely like a bunch of other shows do. So we're back every Monday.
That's right. And we just like to take a little break from our schedule because then we're invigorated for the rest of the year.
No one says you have to listen to the Thursday show. It's great if you download it.
Correct.
And then
or just stream it when you're not listening.
Just turn it on when you're in the shower and just come back to the phone, whatever. Give us the listen. But you do you.
You do you. Go ahead, set up a content farm and just download us on 18 phones. It's fine. Just kidding. Just kidding. That's bad. That's really, really bad.
Don't know anybody who's done that.
No. So, Laura, you have a tradition that you do where you have a fundraiser that's very personal to you. Mm-hmm. And every year we like to ask our listeners if they'd like to help out. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I am doing the Run to Home Base again. I might be walking and running, but it's called the Run to Home Base. Mm-hmm. And this is for the Home Base Foundation. This is a great program for veterans and their families that's offered free to them at no charge. It's like a 2-week, all-encompassing intensive therapeutic environment where they go to, in this situation, it's through the Boston Red Sox Foundation, and they go to Boston. And it's, for veterans, for what they say, the unseen effects of serving. So Lance, who we know from my Leave It to Brickers, my partner Lance, has gone through this program. He's had friends who've gone through this program. And so I am raising money to help, support the people that are going to go there so that they can continue to offer this free of charge. So we're going to be going to Boston, and the Run to Home Base is we are literally going to be running across home plate on Fenway Park at the end of this. This is the 5K through Boston. So it's a big adventure.
Where can people find the link to donate to this?
They can find the link to donate to this in our official Crime Writers On podcast discussion group on Facebook or in our newsletter.
Amazing. When I am pledging to donate, as I do every year, I can't wait. Thanks for telling us about it, Laura.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Kevin, should we talk about the podcast we're here to talk about?
Let's do it.
All right, leading off.
There's a lot wrong with this case. I think the fact that DNA has not been tested and that it's pretty clear that they were using jailhouse witnesses to corroborate a story is a little, it makes me a little uneasy.
30 years after being convicted of murdering 6 women and girls, David Wood is now only weeks away from dying by lethal injection. Pointing to the fact the only DNA ever recovered points to a different suspect and new statements accusing police of setting him up, lawyer Greg Warchuk and his team are rushing to win a stay.
So I told Greg, I'm not going to do the big feature story on David Wood you're imagining. But what if I follow you around? Be there with a microphone as you strategize with your team.
The lawyers look for alternate suspects, elusive witnesses, and holes in the state's evidence, all as the clock ticks down to Wood's execution. Warchuk and the other attorneys pull at every lever to stop the process to save the life of a man they believe was wrongfully convicted, all while preparing themselves for the possibility he'll die anyway.
Like, I don't want to have, like, some sort of, on my part, like, teary goodbye of, like, I might never see you again. And, you know, I want to be fair in the odds, right? Which is, like, I could see you and I might not.
From Serial Productions, The Marshall Project, and The New York Times comes the podcast, The Last 12 Weeks. Host Maurice Chammah and producer Alvin Melathe give the audience an unprecedented look inside a legal team's efforts to find evidence and craft legal arguments that will pause the execution of David Wood, the so-called desert killer. Both with the attorneys and on their own, the journalists interview witnesses, investigators, and the accused serial killer himself in a literal story of life or death. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about plot points from the last 12 weeks. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up or thumbs down reviews. So, Toby, this is an unusual conceit, and I'd like to ask you all about this. I think a podcast typically would be perhaps trying to, as the lawyers here wanted them to do, sort of look into the case and come up with some journalistic conclusions about the veracity of the trials, et cetera. But no, what this podcast is instead is basically spending time with the legal team trying to have this guy's execution stayed and through that process. What do you think of the construction and conceit of that for a show, Toby?
I like it, quite honestly, because I think otherwise you would have had just sort of like a pretty basic true crime show. And as I've said many times, I'm like completely opposed to the death penalty. Think it's barbaric and ridiculous that we do it. As much as podcasts or whatever can shine light on the process of the death penalty, the better. And I think this, particularly where you have a group of lawyers who are literally racing against time to come up with an argument that will be accepted by the court to at least give a stay of execution for this guy, that to me is a much more compelling framework. I mean, I wouldn't want all podcasts to start doing that, but I think for this, and especially with this team that was working on it, I mean, I think it turned it from what probably would have been a kind of run-of-the-mill advocacy podcast to something that, I think is giving you some insight on a process that's extremely, extremely fraught, and I think most people don't know a whole lot about. I do have some questions which we can get to later about whether this is sort of showing the whole sort of effort that they were doing at this time, or whether it was just like the most interesting and exciting part of it.
Oh, I have an answer to that question, Toby.
But generally, I think the more this stuff is exposed to light, the better.
What do you think, Laura, about the chance for us to ride along with this legal team?
Yeah, I mean, at first I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a little like The Staircase and Michael Peterson, and we're going to be following along. And I think access to a death penalty team, a legal team, was really interesting because it's showing, we haven't seen kind of that capital murder case unfold through this particular lens. But I did find it interesting how I felt like the lawyers were a little bit more reticent at first to have this team trailing along. Like they're, is it Naomi that's the female attorney?
Yeah.
And she was kind of like, don't record this or don't record that. And so it wasn't complete access, but I think it shows that, this isn't just like post-conviction work in this sense isn't about being in the courtroom. It's not about that. It's about the labor of the ongoing investigation and trying to track down witnesses decades after this happened, looking for like old evidence, old police reports, and then filing these like last minute emergency motions that you are, being set up to feel like there's little chance that any of this is going to be granted. I think that this is showing, a lot of times we think of kind of like a technical loophole in a case and like, was this person guilty or was the process fair? And I think this is showing that in this particular case, it's like uncovering evidence that wasn't fully fleshed out in the first place. But having access to these attorneys, you really get the sense of how all-consuming this particular type of legal work and defense work is. The guy that's like, I'm this is my last case because I'm going to retire because, of how long these cases hold on.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a great look inside a legal case. We never get to see that. And like the stakes could not be higher. It's not even like a murder trial like the staircase. I mean, we've already had that part here. Now it's the punishment, and it's the ultimate punishment. So as far as like, what are the stakes? Well, they can't be any higher, right? They couldn't be any lower with the idiot from Serial Productions. Here, they can't be any higher. And I think what we also get to see, even though there's a lot of sort of, procedural stuff happening here, and maybe some of it might seem dry, I think they do a good job of sort of keeping this narrative going about finding people and filings and whatnot. But I think we get a good sense of the personalities here, especially the main three lawyers, where you've got Greg, you've got Naomi, and you've got, his name escapes me, but he's the foul-mouthed one, so that's kind of like who I'm thinking that I am in the in this group.
Jeremy, if you can't tell already, is pretty much a photo negative of Greg. They both grew up in Michigan, but that's where the similarities stop. Jeremy is sarcastic, where Greg is earnest. A millennial in flannel and jeans, where Greg opts for the jacket and tie.
Yeah, I think we get, a good sense of that. Like, you have the eternal optimist, you have the eternal pessimist, and you've got the person who's going out and doing it. And I will say this kind of leans to one other sort of extra textual thing. The cover art for this, I really like it because it's simple.
Yeah.
But, you have three figures, and they appear to be not rushing. They feel like they are fast walking, and one is trying to catch up to the other, and that is... I think it is like the absolute epitome of art well done that implies the whole theme of this podcast. I don't think it could be any more on the nose.
I thought you were talking about the episode art with the garden gnome, which I super liked. So I just want to be very clear with our audience. I tend to grade podcasts from Serial Productions on a very steep curve. And my criticisms are criticisms that I wouldn't necessarily make of other shows. That being said, I did like this podcast, but one of my few criticisms of it is I understand how this team works. They want a good narrative. They want all the juicy parts. They want it to be compelling. They want the stakes to feel high. There are certainly many things they didn't include, and they say so explicitly in the show because you're going to get that stuff if you sign up for the newsletter, right? You're going to get stuff about statistics. You're going to get stuff about process. You're going to get that stuff. But I feel like for a show that leaned in more to narrative and stakes and beats, that we actually didn't get quite enough of these lawyers. I mean, the one guy who swears in every single scene he's in and says in the first scene he's in, I work 16 hours a day, plus I do triathlons. I'm just like, clearly you hate your wife and kids if you have them.
Won't have them for long.
That was just a joke. But like, they are interesting people. And I think that there was something there to mine that I was kind of hungry for because we have scenes with them. But if we're not going to go in depth about all the dry stuff, let's go in a little deeper with the people, because you kind of get a sense that they have strong emotions and strong feelings, but you don't really know how they got where they are. You get one glimpse of somebody when they're not on the clock, and that's because they make a phone call to him when he's on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And that's basically the closest we get.
Pick up your fucking phone!
Yeah.
He calls Greg, desperate to get him on the phone to figure this out. Greg doesn't pick up. Jeremy wonders aloud if he's on the treadmill.
What the fucking Christ? Pick up your goddamn phone, Greg.
What little restraint Jeremy's shown in this podcast with regard to cursing is now completely out the window.
Damn it, get off the treadmill.
Yeah, and I think about that a lot. I think about, if you're going to lean into that narrative, perhaps lean even a little more in, like make us care even more about these people in the show. Speaking of caring, Toby, they actually interview David Wood in this podcast, which is an incredible get. I mean, it's really good that they did that. They included it. And I was very surprised when I met him at what he was actually like, because I certainly understand why one wouldn't root for his execution to be stayed after understanding other crimes that he has admitted to, and just kind of meeting him and getting his, and I'm not saying I believe this way, but some people would say he's unlikable, so why do we care so much? What did you think about that, Toby?
I thought it was good just in showing the reality of what it's not like a movie or something where it's actually like this guy who's had a jailhouse conversion, or turns out he was a nice guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, this is this is not a guy you want babysitting or like hanging out at your barbecue or whatever.
No.
That's the reality. But I think the question
+1 to that, Toby.
Yeah, the question is, and even if he did this, which that's sort of a whole separate question, but should he be executed? It feels like they do enough work where if there had been a trial, maybe not in Texas, but in a lot of places, there would be like reasonable doubt, like there would be enough plausibility in other suspects that it would raise some questions for people, and they might not have been convicted. But that's not what they're trying to get at this point, right? That's sort of come and gone, and that's more sort of a fault of his previous lawyer. He kind of feels he's sort of dismissive, or it sort of talks in vague terms about these prior crimes, which he's already confessed to. So it's not like you get this feeling like, wow, he's really seen the error of his ways or anything like that, or he's reformed.
Christie described David's attack as intentional, predatory. David denies the whole rock thrown at the windshield story and says what happened was basically a drunken mistake that got out of hand. I find his way of talking about it off-putting, to put it mildly, and it doesn't do wonders for his overall reliability.
You could not want him back on the streets, but also not feel as though he should be killed by the state.
Right.
That's kind of where I came down on it. It's like, this guy seems like he's genuinely like a dangerous guy and a potential recidivist. But again, if you're opposed to death penalty, you do anything you can to keep him alive,
right?
Because you don't think the state should be doing that kind of thing.
Yeah. Laura, I thought about you in that scene because I know in your work in criminal defense, you very likely sometimes are working for clients who are not people you would invite to your family barbecue. What did you think about David Wood?
So I thought he was kind of a complicated character to put in this story because there's clearly issues with the conviction. But on the other hand, he admitted to these prior rapes. He's not necessarily what I would consider a sympathetic character that people are going to be rooting for necessarily in the context of like, this person was, and he's going for innocence as well. This person's innocent and this is what's going on here. And that makes it hard going in because you can't really rehabilitate his character from carrying out the rapes and the prior bad acts that he had. But then, like Toby said, we can still say at the same time, should we execute this person when there seems to be doubt about the conviction in the murder? So, it's kind of like that moral question of like, can somebody be guilty of these horrible crimes that are obviously very upsetting, prior to the murder, and at the same time be wrongfully convicted of the murder? And, I think it was an interesting choice to put somebody like David Wood at the center of a case like this, because there's certainly lots of, defendants and people that are incarcerated out there that have stories that you're going to more willingly see this person as a good person and want to get behind and root. So this really comes down to the legal process and how does that manifest? Like, how does the legal process apply in this case if you're taking out your emotions?
I always say all the time, the worst of us have the same rights as the best of us. And actually, in some ways, we need to be more careful because it is so easy to convict people based on things you know about them that actually aren't evidence in their current case. We just had a very high profile instance of that in New Hampshire where Harmony Montgomery's father, the state Supreme Court, overturned his murder conviction because they wrapped it up with an assault conviction and it was prejudicial and they should have separated the two. And, you know, whether or not you think he's a bad guy, and I do think he's a bad guy, it actually gave me a little bit of hope to see that, although I do think the Supreme Court is you know, conservative and that he was going to stay in jail anyway, and I don't know if they would have done the same thing if he was going to get out, but it gave me hope that at least that idea of his rights being violated being important despite him being a terrible person is something we should be paying attention to. Kevin, what did you think about David Wood?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, from a narrative point of view, because Laura starts getting into it, like, okay, as we as an audience, are we supposed to be rooting for David or are we just rooting for the process? And I think, though, they did give us an excuse or reasons to be rooting for David. They don't come with it, like, right off the top. They do come off the top with sort of this idea that maybe the informants were set up to make sure that they they fingered him.
They go back, they're talking to each other, but it's in real low tone. And they basically don't even want to talk to me about nothing. So I knew to myself right then and there, they're going to say whatever they want them to say.
Which is, you know, very intriguing, but we also found the DNA, you know, the only DNA they found excluded him, and there's all this other evidence that they refused to test. So, like, okay, in our minds, we can be like, okay, we at least we have some sort of reason for going into it to be more than just what's the process like, and that, yeah, and then, like, later on, as Toby points out, when we get to meet David Wood, that I think we're picking up, you know, what's getting put down here. It's like he is minimizing his roles in the sexual crimes that we know he did, right? And so are we supposed to believe him when he says that he didn't kill any of these people here? And he continues to say, just follow my case. Like, I don't have anything to worry about if you just look at my case. Like, all right, you don't have to believe me, but look at my case.
But when Greg told me, no, they're going to try to get you people to know as a person, like, who cares what I think? People think of me. I didn't do this case, regardless of my past. Let the case speak for itself.
And then they do a lot, I think, in here to give the audience, you know, again, reason to not see him as, you know, the desert killer, because they always refer to him as David, or by full name it's David Wood, and it's not, as you know, criminally coded in the press as David Leonard Wood. Like, when you use all three names, like, you're in trouble with your mom or you're on death row. It's one of those two things. And so they do give us, you know, the idea of perhaps some actual innocence here to go along with finding out, you know, what this process is all about. They do give us an alternate suspect.
I thought it was interesting. One call back to the very beginning of our show was that he basically, from the other side of the spectrum, makes the same argument that Adnan was making during Serial, which is, and at the time it was like, Adnan, you're such a nice guy. It's like, I don't fucking want to hear that. You focus on the facts of the case and get me out of here. And in this case, you're like, you are such a bad person. It's like, well, don't focus on that. Focus on the facts of the case. So I'm not going to be executed. And it's, you know, they're coming from two different places, but it's like, my character is completely beside the point for whether or not I did this. And that's what you should be looking at, which, again, I mean, it kind of goes back to what is the podcast looking to do? Like, what are the motivations behind what they're doing?
Yeah. And again, it gives the audience the opportunity to root for their success. And you can root for our success by joining us on Patreon.
It's the business section.
If you join us at patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media, you get all sorts of exclusive content, including the Crime Writers on After show. On this week, we're going to do Win of the Week or Loss of the Week. And we're all going to talk about something that either was great that happened or horrible that happened. And it has nothing to do with Laura's microphone. Okay. Although I would like to just point out that, like, we are hanging by a thread here, and she's laughing, so it's fine.
It's too bad she doesn't have a new one she could try.
That I've had for 2 years. that I'm too afraid to set up. Actually, it needs a software that I have to download.
Oh, that would take 5 minutes tops.
That's rough.
Yeah,
that's a rough one.
Ask Toby, because we got you exactly the thing that he got.
Yeah.
He should be able to troubleshoot it. But then again, Toby can only record on the left channel, and his right channel is so we just this is okay.
It's a clown
I'm
show.
in Europe.
It's a clown show.
I'm in Europe. It's different over here.
It's driving on the other side of the road.
They record on the other side of the street.
The water goes down the drain in the opposite direction.
Yeah, something
It's
like
all
that.
thing,
That's
yeah.
Australia. Also, exclusive content includes Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast, The Advice Show Married with Podcast, Rebecca and Mel Barrett's True Crime updates on Something's Off.
Audio version.
And if you come in as a Bricker Scaler, you'll get another exclusive podcast. It's Laura Bricker's Leave It to Bricker podcast, in which Laura Bricker solves mysteries, or at least mysteries to her, in her quaint Revolutionary War town of Exeter, New Hampshire. 250th anniversary, our semi-sesquicentennial.
Correct. Very good.
Thank you.
Right.
Laura, and you're going to talk about Exeter's ties to...
I have a special, I will have this out for the 4th of July, like for this big event that's happening. We have a claim in Exeter, very patriotic, the longest continually performing community brass band. And they are doing a special event for the 250th.
Ooh.
That's fantastic. I can't wait to hear some of the music. And if you read any of the Piper Green books, you'll know that Exeter has that Revolutionary War Festival. Is that what it's called? What's it called?
So many festivals.
It's the Revolutionary War Festival. They now call it the Independence Festival, and it's 2 weeks after the 4th of July, because that's how long it took for the Declaration of Independence to reach Exeter. So that is when Exeter sets off its fireworks.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. If you become a member at the Let's Do What We Do level, you'll get episodes of Crime Writers on early and ad-free. And if you are a deep diver, you'll get all of that, including being an official sponsor of Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast. Toby and his guests are currently discussing the book The Other Side of Prospect. Now, other ways to support us include our Amazon storefront, where you can see some of our favorite things. Rebecca, can you tell us what are this week's Amazon recommendations?
Well, Kevin, I discovered something incredible that one can purchase on Amazon.
What's that?
Dole Whip Mix, which I'm going to try out in our Ninja Slushy machine. Remember Dole Whip? Like the delicious pineapple soft serve ice cream you get at Disney World and other places?
Yeah.
They make a mix for it where you just add water and stuff, and you can make it in your Ninja Slushy machine.
Wow, it's like having the Tiki Lounge right in your own house.
100%. It's like being by the Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
Yeah, it's like the one with the racially troubling tropical birds with the singing.
Yes.
Yeah, and Toby Ball.
Great deep cut ride at Disney.
It's a deep cut ride. Toby Ball, can you tell us what are your listener-inspired Toby Ball's deep cut recommendations?
We're starting off with the Gummy Bear Guy, Sour, world's largest gummy worm. Cherry and blue raspberry. It's a 26-inch, 2-pound sour gummy worm, roughly 128 times the size of a regular one, and approximately 3,000 calories.
If you eat the whole worm.
You just cut it into slices and put it on a tray?
No, you just eat the whole goddamn thing at once.
Sit there and gnaw on it?
Yeah. If you want to see somebody eat it on OnlyFans, you can.
Yeah.
What else you got, Toby?
Well, this is an invention that didn't need to be invented. It is a Gaiai banana slicer tool for kids.
Oh.
Safer than knife, ABS plastic, and stainless steel cutter. It's a banana slicer. One press slices an entire banana instantly into uniform pieces. No knife needed. Dishwasher safe, $6.99. I don't recall ever trying to slice a banana into pieces when I was a kid.
I mean, you have to slice it for kids, if they can't,
put it in your Cheerios.
But
they shouldn't be using a slicer by themselves in that case.
Right. But you know what's safer than that is teaching a kid how to use a knife, which I did with my kids when they were 2, and they were fine. They were completely fine. Give them a butter knife, let them cut the banana themselves, they'll be fine.
Just eat the fucking banana. Come on.
There is a market for this, I will say.
You love a slicer.
I would love to have been there when this, the idea for this invention came up.
Kevin, you have a hard-boiled egg slicer. You 100% use that thing.
Oh, that's a classic, though. That's been around for ages.
Yeah. No one needs to protect their children from bananas.
I have the hard-boiled egg maker. Like a little pod that you put the eggs in.
Oh, really?
I thought it was called a pot and some water.
Yeah, a pot of water.
Yeah.
Well, I used to, but I was on a real kick with hard-boiled eggs, and somebody gave this to me for Christmas.
Oh.
It's pretty fun.
And that's why Laura's house smells like farts. So you see all of that when you shop us first when you go to Amazon. It's amazon.com/shop/CrimeWritersOn. We earn commissions on qualified purchases.
Kevin, before we end the business section, do we have any Patreon patron saints of the week this week?
Our Patreon patron saints are Vanetta Fervert and Rose Phillips. Bless you.
Vanetta and Rose, I can't thank you enough for supporting the show. Patreon is the engine that keeps us going. If you like the show and you want it to continue into the future, please consider supporting us on Patreon. It is really the only way we can keep doing it. So, Kevin, does thus end our business section?
Thus ends the business section.
Fade that music out. So, Kevin, who's the next sponsor for this fine podcast?
Oh, our sponsor is Quince.
Kevin, I'm wearing a Quince dress right now.
I know. Hold on, Nana. Don't get ahead of ourselves. The best summer pieces are the ones you end up wearing on repeat. Comfortable, versatile, and somehow right for almost every occasion. And Quince makes it easy to create a summer wardrobe that you'll love with things like, what is this?
Incredible linen wrap dress. I wear this dress all the time. This button-down, camp dress. I love it.
They've got such amazing European linen products. The shirts that I have. It's great for the summertime. You
Pants
look
I just ordered.
very comfortable, yet elevated. Wait. I mean, elevated. But we don't know. Hold on. You just ordered more stuff from Quince?
Did you see the package upstairs? It's a pair of pants.
Oh, that's...
I was European linen pants. I had to try them because they're a new style.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. At this point, though, Quince, please, you must name a whole clothing line after Rebecca. Because she has single-handedly kept several people employed.
Yes.
I think. There at Quince.
So make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/crime.
For
free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too.
Bonjour, hi.
That's QUINCE.com/crime.
For
free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
Okay, imagine this. A honeybee is out here doing her thing in an orchard, lands on a mystery apple blossom, then carries that pollen over to a Honeycrisp tree. Fast forward a few months, and no exaggeration, something amazing is born. The Sugar Bee apple, packed with notes of honey, caramel, and molasses, plus an extra crisp crunch. Sugar Bee apples are perfect for snacking, baking, and everything in between. Download our new free recipe book and find a store near you at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar Bee apples, naturally sweet, from bee to you.
Game day at my place is kind of a big deal. If I'm grilling, chilling, and watching hoops, my outdoor patio setup better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. From patio seating and umbrellas to grills and grilling accessories, Wayfair's got it all, and it shows up fast. I'm talking championship level fast and easy delivery. So level up your grill game and your outdoor chill game and head to wayfair.com now to get your outdoor space ready for the season.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
Kevin, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You know, I have long-term issues with the way that the serial team coaches reporters and producers to track their stories.
Yeah.
They love this flat tracking affect. Somebody I know a little bit, Sean Cole, I heard did the tracking direction in this, and it's been a real problem with some of the podcasts we listen to, the point of distraction, like the Laramie show, like distracting tracking. The issue with it here, in my opinion, is, and I'm so glad you had this note because I'm like, did I miss something? I had no idea that there were actually two different people hosting this podcast.
Yeah.
Until they specifically said it like in episode 5 or whatever.
That was what I have. Yeah. It wasn't until episode 5 that I realized there were two separate narrators. I knew there was a producing team, and
I thought it was a different mic. I thought, he just switched mics there for a second.
Like all of a sudden, yes, it sounds like what we would call a pickup line, which is like when someone goes back and retracts something. Sometimes tonally it doesn't match. So I was just because the two guys sound very much alike.
Most prisoners on death row are not pursuing innocence claims. David Wood is rare in that sense.
I roam the halls of the office, feeling a little silly, wondering if pointing my microphone at Naomi's typing is a better use of my time than pointing my microphone at Jeremy staring at a screen.
Now, that's not a fault of theirs or anything like that, but it ended up being, in some cases, and we've said this with different podcasts, it ends up being a little difficult to figure out who's who. Now, it doesn't really matter in the sense that so long as you're sort of oriented as to what scene you're in and who you're with and what's going on, that's fine. But they really didn't signpost it at much at all. I believe the entire first episode was Maurice, right?
I don't know it anymore. I thought so, but who knows?
It's sort of setting up the idea of like, here we are now we, it ends with like, okay, I'm going to follow you around. And like when they would refer to like my producer, and I didn't say my producer, but the producer is doing, every time like something came up that was probably very obvious to them, I would just listen and kind of like just think I'm not hearing it right or I'm not following correctly. And so there was that. Now, it doesn't change the information really at all that we get here. It could have very easily been done with all Maurice and no Alvin narration. And if they had done what a lot of podcasts do, which is the very performative debrief where the two talk to each other, it would have been very obvious that we've got multiple people here. And I'll go back. I'll just read the transcript and just like try to figure out, okay, where was this handoff and why did I miss it? Was it that subtle?
And why does it exist?
I don't think that they lost anything by doing it with two people. So I don't know if they really added anything by doing it with two separate people. Yeah. But yeah, I was kind of shocked that I kind of missed that because I do listen to podcasts for a living.
They would split up sometimes. Like that was the only reason why I knew there were two, and it didn't really matter to me one way or the other. But they're like, oh, we had to split up because somebody did this and somebody else did this, and and that seemed like if you only had one, you'd obviously have to pick and choose which thing you did. And maybe there were like 4 different things going on, and they should have had 4 people, but they definitely were sort of following different people on the same day at times.
Madeline Barron will do the same thing sort of in one of these In the Darks where there's another producer who's doing stuff like that.
Yeah, we do it at
clear
NHPR all
handoff.
the time.
And I don't know. It's a venal sin. It's whatever.
We do typically at NHPR we keep one host because we understand the audience and if there's somebody else like Operation Nightcat had Nate hosting but Lauren co-reported and you heard her in some scenes asking questions but so she became more like a character in the podcast but her credit was right up front. Like she doesn't need to host it to get the credit for co-reporting, right? So Laura, one of the things that stuck out to me in the show, and I have strong feelings about journalistic puritanism, and there's one scene in this show which demonstrates it
I know what you're going to say.
In my opinion, ridiculous degree, where the reporter goes and interviews the mother of one of the victims of the case because the lawyers are going to go talk to her to see if they can flip her, basically to get her on their side, right? And so he does an interview with her first, so he knows where she lives. He's been there, whatever. And then he's tagging along in the car with the lawyers, and they don't know where he lives. And out of journalistic puritanism, won't just tell them and lets them drive around for an hour and a half until they see a garden gnome on the lawn.
Are we getting warmer or colder? Okay.
I think it was about an hour into this car ride when I started to wonder if maybe I'd taken this all a little too far. If maybe my journalistic ethics were about to get me forcibly ejected from the backseat of a moving vehicle.
There was a gnome back there.
Laura, what did you think about that? And I guess more importantly, what did you think about the interviews with the mother?
Yeah. So, I think I was listening to this and he's like, there's no opinion. This is very like kind of straightforward journalistic reporting, even though we're coming from somebody that's covered the death penalty for a long time. But that scene, I was getting I get it. Like, we don't want to insert ourselves in
by giving directions.
Stories, but at the same time, that felt kind of ridiculous. I understood where I get it. Like, we're going to hold the line and we're not going to help them at all because our role here is not to help. Our role is not to advocate. Our role here is just to tell this story. I felt for those attorneys. At one point, they're like, "You sure you can't tell us?" And he's just like, "No."
What? But didn't the scene
blink your eyes? Yeah.
Didn't the fact that they included that feel performative to you? It's one thing for them to do it that way. It's another thing for them to include telling us
that. It felt like, look at us. We are so pure as journalists in a way that, and I get it. Like when I was a community journalist, it was really hard because you live in a community that you cover, and they'd be like, if you go to someone's house, never accept any water, and this and that, and eventually you're just like, you know what? fuck it. I'm taking the glass of water. It's not the end of the world. I'm still going to tell the story.
Don't eat
in
at
a
the campaign
responsible
events,
way.
though, Laura. Don't eat at the campaign events.
You know what? When you're a young journalist and you're living paycheck to paycheck, you eat at the campaign events. You see it. You see it all the time. But I appreciated that mother as a character, because how many times has she had to tell her story? And, first we hear the crew going out, the reporting crew talking to her. And I also felt like it was interesting that I don't know how forthcoming they were with her about the fact that they were embedded with this defense team, because I didn't hear that kind of directly explained to her. It sort of was hinted about a little bit, but I guess I wondered if she understood the extent to which they were embedded with this defense team that then showed up at her house like very soon after this.
Yeah.
And when they showed, when the defense lawyers showed up, I mean, they had their plan. Okay, the woman is going to be more sympathetic. She's going to be the one that's going to establish the rapport, and we're going to see what happens. But it felt awkward to me. I just felt like, so you're going out ahead of time. You're obviously not going to tell the defense team what she said to you.
Right.
And then you're going to go out again when they go out, and it's going to be like Groundhog Day.
Yeah. He said that she gave him permission to be there the second time.
Yes.
I believe he said something like that. But again, just show us. Just show us what
Yes.
the result was. And that stuff, it just gets under my skin a little bit, because I feel like it's almost like a passive aggression toward other journalists in some way.
Virtue signaling.
Yeah, a little bit like that. It's just, and I think in 2026, kind of unnecessary to stand by the reporting. So, Toby, one of the things that I know frustrates you, and frustrates me too, is the adversarial nature of the criminal legal system makes it such that prosecutors are so invested in keeping their win that they refuse to even listen or acknowledge that any defense attorney's arguments, despite what they may be, could possibly be true. When you heard, sort of the prosecution response to these, pretty reasonable arguments about why this thing should be looked at, what did you think about what they had to say?
Yeah, so I think Texas, as a very conservative state, like it starts from the top with the governor, who I think they said granted clemency once out of, however many clemency appeals went to his desk. But yeah, they definitely seem to see these people as sort of professional nuisances. I was talking about the capital defense lawyers who are just kind of trying to throw up obstacles into the workings of the death penalty machinery, and maybe aren't taking it too seriously. And it's like, well, yeah, that's what they're supposed to do, right? I mean, that's their job. Yeah, it's sort of this disdain that's shown for anybody who's doing this kind of work. Like, this feels like kind of an extreme version of it, again, because you're arguing over somebody's life. So when you are sort of trivializing these arguments, you're basically trivializing the decision to kill this person.
Right.
I was talking to, this is a slight tangent, but I was talking to a guy yesterday. We were having drinks, and he'd been to one of the bullfights in Valencia, where they kill the bull. And he was talking about how solemn it is and how much respect is given to the bull that's being killed, and how it's this very emotional thing. It's sort of showing the sacrifice that this animal makes to feed people and things like that. So it's sort of this performative thing. But I compare that to like the workings of this Texas judicial system, in which that they're not giving that same kind of respect and dignity to like a human being who they're making a decision with about this. It's troubling to me that more people don't find it troubling, quite honestly.
Same.
And, they said there's over 170 people on death row in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. And just statistically, like, some of them are going to be innocent. Like, they're all 170 of those people are not definitely guilty. This is not the way the stats go. It's a thing in part of our society that is hard for me to wrap my head around, how sort of disdainful they are. And these are people who claim religious high ground and all this stuff, but how little dignity and thought they give to sort of making the ultimate decision on somebody's guilt.
Some flavors can only be crafted by nature. One sunny day, a honeybee discovered a mysterious apple blossom and carried its pollen to a Honeycrisp tree. Months later, something extraordinary was born. The sugar bee apple, with notes of honey, caramel, and molasses, balanced by bright sweetness and an extra crisp crunch. Sugar bee apples elevate everything from charcuterie boards and salads to baked treats and everyday snacking. Ready for some inspiration? Download our free recipe book and discover delicious ways to enjoy sugar bee apples at hellosugarbee.com. Sugar bee apples, from bee to you.
This message comes from DSW, with their semi-annual sale starting now and featuring lots of deals. At Designer Shoe Warehouse, they'll give you something to brag about, like 40% off clearance in all DSW stores, or an extra 10% off clearance at DSW.com. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW, let us surprise you.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. From roof repair to emergency plumbing and more, when you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.
Feeling stuck with rising ad costs and flat results? Realize Taboola's advertising platform for businesses unlocks growth beyond search and social. Taboola's algorithm engages with high-intent users on the open web, accelerating their path to conversion. Powered by an AI model trained on over 500 billion monthly signals, Realize delivers smarter prospecting with privacy-safe targeting. The result? Higher conversion rates and scalable funnel at lower cost. To learn more, visit realize.com/podcast.
All right, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out The Last 12 Weeks? It's the latest podcast from Serial Productions and the New York Times in collaboration with the Marshall Project. Laura Bricker, thumbs up or thumbs down for The Last 12 Weeks?
Yeah, I'm going thumbs up with this. You know me, my background as a defense investigator. Anytime we have an opportunity to go behind the scenes in defense work and kind of see the other side of what happens in the justice system, I'm all for it. In this case, I said it's a little bit like when we got to go behind the scenes with Michael Peterson's attorneys in the Staircase, but we're going behind the scenes with a team on a capital murder case in Texas. And you really get a sense of the ticking of time as there's a countdown and the countdown to this execution and what happens on this defense team as that is happening. And that just the challenges in re-examining a case so many years later, trying to find witnesses, evidence that hasn't been tested that needs to be tested. And for me, you know, hearing kind of thinking about the psychology of what it takes to be an attorney that takes on those capital cases and just what does it take to be involved for years knowing that you're fighting essentially to save somebody's life. And that takes a special type of person and a special type of an attorney. So I appreciate that we get to go behind the scenes. I mean, I think there are areas in this that I would have liked to know, like Rebecca, I would have liked to know more about these attorneys because I want to know, like, how did you get into this as opposed to another type of defense work? But overall, I thought this was interesting and it was 5 episodes. I binged it in one day while I was out hiking in the White Mountains. And so I would give this a thumbs up.
Toby Ball, thumbs up or thumbs down for The Last 12 Weeks?
Yeah, I like this a lot. I'm trying to think of the last time I liked one of the Serial Productions as much as I like this. And I can't think of it, but I'm sure there probably was one. I think anytime we can shine more light on the death penalty process, I think that is a good thing. I kind of feel like this gives you like the most exciting aspects of this kind of work as the deadline, you know, the day of the execution is coming up and everybody's trying to do everything they possibly can to stop it from happening. I kind of feel like you get like what you would see like if you're doing a documentary TV show, which I guess is not that much different. So there's less like going through files and stuff and more like going out and talking to people and stuff like that. Yeah, but I thought it was really good. They have a lot of interesting interviews, both with not so much with, I guess, the lawyers. You hear the lawyers talking about things, but then some of the people the lawyers go and talk to that you kind of hear. And some of the people who the journalists go and talk to. It's all pretty interesting. So yeah, I liked it a lot. I'm a big thumbs up.
Kevin Flynn.
I'm also a thumbs up for this. I sometimes imagine Laura Bricker standing at the edge of a wishing well, her head in both palms of her hand, just staring away and imagining finding valuable information in a defense case at a Whataburger. And this is kind of what this is. It's an unprecedented look inside a capital murder case. Not as the trial's going on, but, trying to save the life of somebody that they honestly believe is innocent and wrongfully convicted. So you get to kind of go along. You can be skeptical going in. You can be full bore going in. There are things here that may twist your perspective back and forth a little bit, but it's not a twisty story. It's not melodramatic. It's pretty straightforward, which helps make it very compelling. Serial Productions always sorts of shoots for a bigger story under the main one, like The Idiot being kind of a swing and a miss here, maybe being the exception for trying to tell the zoom out or whatever. Even The Good Whale had something, that you could yuck The Good Whale, but whatever.
Some tunes and stuff.
Yeah, the musical episode, again, maybe a swing and a miss. I liked it, but we can bicker about that another time. In this case, the larger issue is very obvious, right? And I think they do make a good point at the end about sort of the arbitrary nature of the death penalty. And it ends up could somebody have been put to death, or could they have been spared based on what somebody says in a Whataburger or in an old court filing, or by picking apart something that that they picked apart 1 month too late after someone is executed. So it's a really good look. It's a deep dive, and not overly done. 5 episodes, maybe I would go for 6. I don't know, but it's you get a good look at these characters here. It's not preachy. It's not preachy. I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I'm giving it a thumbs up. I think it's the best work the Serial Productions has put out in a really long time. It's a little thin. It felt a little thin to me. I did feel like it could have been a little bit longer and gone a little more in depth. If they're going to focus on characters and the ride along, which I love a ride along podcast, then let us spend some more time with the characters in the podcast. And so that felt a little thin. I do really like the Marshall Project's work, which is typically pretty brainy. And I do feel like I would have liked to have heard a little bit more of that, sort of in-depth expose look at the worst parts of our criminal legal system that the Marshall Project is so known for. That being said, I found it somewhat surprising. Besides the couple of displays of performative journalistic puritanism, as I said in the review, purity, it was really solidly done. So yeah, I'm a thumbs up for this one. I'm a thumbs up for the last 12 weeks. Now it's time for my favorite part of the podcast, a little something I like to call the Crime of the Week. Officials in Mexico are on the lookout for an unknown vigilante the newspapers are calling Batman. Over several nights, at least 5 suspected bike thieves in Jalisco have been captured, beaten up, and left duct taped to the lampposts for police to find them. The men had mustaches and cat whiskers sharpied on their faces, along with the Spanish word for thief. Warning signs to other criminals were posted at the scene. Reporters are eating up the story of a Batman prowling their streets. They say police are slow to react to complaints and love the idea of a dark night fighting crime. Prosecutors say the alleged crooks will be prosecuted, but right now they're being treated as victims because they were assaulted and unlawfully restrained. The thieves did not say whether their punisher wore a cowl or a cape or drove a really cool car that shoots flames out of the back. Police have no suspects, but say for help, they will turn to a local millionaire who owns a mansion above a cave that he accesses down a fire pole. Holy irony, Batman. What other superhero antics will happen in this Mexican town? Laura Bricker, what do you think?
I mean, it seems kind of like a no-brainer that Spider-Man is next, and he's going to string up with his spidey webs some shoplifters on the power lines, put them in a net with maybe a Post-it note on them announcing their crime, or be best. I don't know.
Be best.
Toby Ball, I have a feeling I know what you're going to say.
You think they're hooking up with Melania to bust? I was actually going to say...
I don't know where that came from.
I was actually going to say Spider-Man getting a shoplifter, so thanks, Laura.
Scooped.
So I'm desperately trying to think of another superhero right off the top of my head. I don't know, just a green guy in purple pants walking around, putting people head first into trash cans.
That's not bad. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, there's a new superhero wearing a trench coat, but he's called The Flash.
Oh.
And it's not great.
Not the Flash.
The Flash.
All right. I got it.
It looked like a penis, only smaller.
That's going to do it for us. But before we go, Laura Bricker, do we have a cat of the week this week?
Our cat of the week this week comes to us from listener Karen Burwell, and it is a dog. Karen's dog Shiloh is a 14-and-a-half-year-old black lab. She loves everyone and is loved by all. She is gentle with all children and lovely, accepts any rescue animal we adopt. She has been my faithful running companion as Karen trains for marathons and then half marathons. Shiloh has slowed down the past couple of years after being hit by a car that wrecked her hips, but she still loves when the grandkids or company come over. And Shiloh is out running, playing in some water, and also with a very cute cat. So this looks like a great dog.
All right, Laura Bricker. If folks want to reach out to you to submit any kind of animal to be cat of the week, how can they find you online?
You can find me at Laura Bricker on Instagram and Blue Sky.
What about you, Toby? How can you be found if folks want to say hi?
At TobyBall603 on Instagram.
What about you, Kevin?
I'm at Kevin P. Flynn.
If you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or everywhere, you can find me at Reb Lavoie. And the show is literally everywhere at Crime Writers On. But mostly you should join our Facebook group. It's rad. Get episodes early and ad-free and everything else we make at Patreon at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia. Our theme song was composed and performed by Tyler Gibbons. The executive producer and editor of this show is Kevin. This show was recorded in Studio C, The Closet, in our New Hampshire basement, where we also have one eternal optimist and one pessimist who can't stop swearing.
Get off your fucking tread machine!
On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later. Host Maurice Chammah and producer Alvin Melathe give the audience an unprecedented look inside a legal team's efforts to find evidence and craft legal arguments that will pause the execution of David Wood, the so-called desert killer. Although you wrote desert killer.
Desert killer.
Hey, that guy has taken out so many Jim Dandies.
Listen, I am the so-called dessert killer.
I was looking at that. I'm like, I don't remember that aspect of things, but maybe
I'm the dessert killer.
That's his
okay.
Last meal, which is 10 Sundays.
Yeah.
All right.
It's the last 12 Sundays.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, I think we have to take that one over.
Okay.
But thanks for the outtake.
Yes.
Partners in Crime Media.
The Colonel's cooked up a new $10 bucket of the day just for you. Monday, 24 nuggets for $10. Tuesday, 8-piece fried chicken for $10. Wednesday, 10 wings for $10. Thursday, 8 tenders for $10. Friday, 24 nuggets for... Ooh, you guessed it, didn't you? $10. The $10 bucket of the day deal. Every weekday, only at KFC. It's finger-licking good.
Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Not available on third-party ordering platforms. Tax extra.